And iRates is our preferred partner for revenue management. They have a great product to meet the needs of our hoteliers. iRates offers a best-in-class revenue management product at a very affordable price. It's extremely efficient, inexpensive, and easy to use. You can adapt each specific hotel property and operate in conjunction with the manager. So whether you are a sophisticated revenue manager or a new to revenue management, this product is very flexible and will meet all your needs. I'd like to introduce David Callander. He's the VP of Sales at iRates. He is a very passionate business development executive who brings lots of creativity to his work. And he has, in the last few years, been working with startups like Massive Media Group to big Fortune 100 companies such as GTE Verizon. His hospitality experience includes working at Hyatt, Starwood Hotels, Hilton, and marquee properties like the Hotel Del Coronado. So I'm going to turn it over to David this morning, and he'll take you through iRates. Thanks again for joining us. And at the end of this broadcast, or anytime during the broadcast, please use the chat function to ask your questions, and we'll circle back to those at the end of the presentation and answer those as best we can. Thanks, David.
Awesome. Thank you, Carrie, for that great introduction. Can everybody hear me okay? I guess. So we're very excited about our partnership with RoomKey. We both are systems that are designed to make a hotel's job easier in terms of managing rate, managing revenue, and therefore optimizing RevPAR. And that's what iRates is designed to do. It's designed to maximize RevPAR for the mid-tier independent and boutique market. iRates comports to what we call the 3 keys to revenue management success. The first being having a revenue management best strategy and practices and execution throughout the organization. This is very important in today's day and age where all of the distribution channels across the internet make a lot of possibilities available to sell rooms. We all know that we would like to be selling our rooms at the highest price, and we'd also like to minimize our dependence on OTAs and get the maximum rate possible. So the first key to revenue management success, as iRates describes it, is to have a revenue management strategy, to have best practices to accomplish that strategy, and to have that strategy be agreed to throughout the organization. We provide a lot of support for that. We provide webinars like these. We provide white papers. We're publishing various different articles about the elements of revenue management and how to succeed in today's very complex internet-enabled marketplace. The second key to revenue management success is having all of the information that is required to make a good rates decision available in one place. So I'm sure you can all relate to the experience of having 4 different browser tabs open, several different Excel spreadsheets, pieces of paper on your desk, and you're looking to set rates, and someone comes into your office and interrupts you, and then you have to go back to the beginning. So iRates solves this problem by having everything that you need in one place where you can make a rate decision in 30 to 60 seconds for any day, 365 days into the future. The third key to revenue management success is having algorithms or mathematics that analyze market behavior in such a way that the rate recommendations are meaningful and that they make money for the hotel. Because of the dynamics of the market, it's literally impossible for a person to do all of the calculations necessary to make a good rate decision. The number of calculations and data that need to be analyzed for a date, say 90 days in the future, are so many that a person can't really do that and still be able to pay attention to the rest of their job and the other needs of the hotel. So those are the 3 keys to revenue management success, and that's what iRates does. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start showing you what iRates is. iRates is a very simple software package. We have primarily 2 views. The first is the calendar view, and then the second is the table view. They both display pretty much the same information, but in a different way depending on the preference of the operator. Some people are more comfortable in the calendar view, some people are more comfortable in the table view, or a combination. So what you're seeing here is a hotel. This is a Ramada in San Diego. The business mix is transient. It's next to a convention center, so it gets business and group bookings, and it also has people, locals, who come in to enjoy the nightlife and the restaurants in San Diego and then make the wise choice to stay at the hotel over the weekend. So it's an interesting mixture of business. It's about 100 rooms, and of course you can see what the rates are typically. So if you were to log on to this hotel, if this was your property, for a rate setting session, what you would notice is that the occupancy on August 14th is 74%. The current rack rate is $119, and iRates is recommending a rack rate of $109. This is indicated by a red arrow here, which is saying put the rate down. If you agreed with this, then you would double-click on the red arrow, and you have changed your base rate. It's important to mention now that what iRates does is it works off a single base rate, and then discounting goes down from that rate, and room differentials go up from that rate. So we're going to take a look here now at August 22nd, and we're seeing that the hotel is at 69% occupancy. Current rack rate is $169. Recommended rack is $149. Before we decide to agree to accept that recommendation, we want to look at some other data. So we're going to look here at the total inventory, 99 rooms. Here, overbooking, out-of-service rooms, group blocks, transient rooms, occupied rooms, occupancy, total revenue, etc. This is all data that's coming directly from RoomKey, and so that's where we get that information, and it's accurate and up to date based on the last time that you logged into iRates. So we also might want to take a look at last year's information. This would be what this date closed at last year. And so you'll notice last year closed at 77% occupancy, total revenue was 6,859, ADR and RevPAR there. So now we know a little bit about what happened last year. Here we're going to take a look at stay restrictions. This is where iRates would recommend a minimum length of stay if it thought that that would increase RevPAR, or if one is in place, then this is where it would be displayed. iRates is talking about 4 different essential buckets of rates here when we talk about rate plan tiers. The first is rack rate. That's the maximum amount that you would sell a room if somebody just walked in the door and paid whatever the property management system RoomKey said to pay. That's what that would be. The second rate tier is basic discounting for AAA or AARP or association and organizational discounting of one kind or another, and that would be rate tier 2. Rate tier 3 is typical OTA, commissionable discounts, and rate tier 4 is heavily discounted or contracted rooms. So what iRates will tell you here is leave all rate tiers open to maximize RevPAR. Now, if this was a very high demand date, iRates might recommend that you close out the bottom 2 or the discounting to OTAs and heavily discounted to contract by doing that in RoomKey. So this is where we give you insight on how to manage your various different channels. Here in the control block, we're looking at what the demand levels are. When iRates is set up for you, what we do is we look at 2 years typically of history. If you don't have that history, we have a way to still build iRates for you. That's a separate conversation. But what we do is we look at the 2 years of history and we analyze an immense amount of data about number of rooms sold, at what pace, at what price, through what channel, and we come up with, using our mathematics, a set of patterns. Typically it's about 20 patterns per hotel that are all of the typical booking patterns for that hotel. And so iRates takes those patterns and it builds them into a custom instance or a custom version of iRates for your hotel specifically. Then what iRates does using a second algorithm or a different mathematical formula is when hotel rooms are sold, whenever iRates is updated, iRates knows that, what rooms were sold at what price, then it applies that to the booking patterns and it says this is the pattern that the hotel is in, and this is what the demand is going to be. One of the major things that iRates does is it predicts demand, and that's what we're trying to do. This is unconstrained. This is not a forecasted approach. What this is what is the maximum demand for rooms going to be on any date, and how much money can we get for that? So here you'll see that the demand level is 2. It's color-coded in red so that we know that that is the case. And suggested rack is 149, current rack is 169. If we wanted to accept that rate, we could do that right here by just double-clicking that. But we're not. We're going to do a little bit more digging. Here we're going to look at the availability by room type. So this is how many different rooms of what type have available, and we're also going to take a look at the different prices for different rooms. Here we could modify and we could manage rate by room type. So for example, if we wanted to up the rate of our basic room, we would put that up to $20 like that, and then we come back to the delta here, you'll see that that rate was higher. And that rate change will stay in place until you manually change it. Now we're going to take a look at what pickup is, because that's an important part of our decision here. So here we sold 1 room in the last day, 10 in the last week, 18 in the last 2 weeks, and 35 in the last month. Useful information. We might want to take a deeper dive into that. So now we're going to look at the sales dynamics. And here we're able to look at trailing rates versus rooms available to be sold so that we can match and see how the rate that we charge has affected the pace at which rooms are being sold. So an experienced revenue manager will use this information here to be able to evaluate whether the current rate is the right one to charge. So in this case, we are going to accept this particular rate recommendation. So another tool that I would show you is we have graphs that will show what the sales dynamics are. Again, going back to the concept of predicting demand, here you can see the daily rooms sold, the rack rate, and the suggested rack for August 26th. Here are the sales dynamics, which is rooms available versus rooms sold. Ultimately, you want to have that graph be up there and this graph be down here. And then here's what the expected customer flow is going to be so that you can see what your demand is. That's very helpful for being able to budget housekeeping resources and other personnel and staffing needs. Another tool that we have is the ability to determine what the least amount you would want to sell a group block would be and still not lose any money from your transient business. So let's say we've got 20 people or 21 here, and then we are going to estimate. Oh, so I apologize. This is a newer version of the software. I guess the group function isn't working quite right here. Oh, I know why it's not, because I have the wrong dates in there. How do you like that? So let's go to here, and then we'll come up to the 22nd. Okay, and now let's see. There we go. So you'll notice that the demand levels for these dates are indicated here. Red is high demand. Yellow is still a very healthy demand. The rooms available, 29, 39, and 45. Last year's ADR, last year's occupancy, and then current rack rate, and then suggested transient rack rate. So here, iRates is suggesting that you charge $139 on one night and $119 on the others. That's the minimum that you would want to charge without losing any money and maximizing your transient revenue still. So that's our group package. So now we're going to switch over to the table view very quickly here, and here you're seeing a lot of the same information that was displayed before, but it's done in a different form. So what a lot of managers will do after they get comfortable with iRates is they'll want to have last year open. This occupancy plot is telling you what the occupancy is running, any stay restrictions. You'll notice here that on August 23rd, iRates is suggesting that only the top 2 rate plans be kept, rate tiers be kept available. And then here, color-coded are high demand dates that you would want to pay attention to. So if we wanted to accept these rates, we would just double-click that. Here, we're going to modify this to 149, and there we are. And so it's, as you can see, it's very easy to make a rate decision extremely easily and quickly. Now that we've done our rate setting for today, we're going to review the changes. Here are all of the changes for all different room types. And if we wanted to, we could look by specific room type. And then what there would be when you push export here, or there would be a button with room key that would say update room key or push to room key. And then all of these rate changes would go directly into room key, and then whatever settings that you had within room key would then distribute out through the various different channels. So in very simple terms, that's what iRates is. We also provide a competitive set shopping tool where we will give you all of the rates from 6 different hotels and 3 you're able to see what your competitors are doing directly in iRates as part of the subscription that you have to iRates. So in very simple terms, that's what iRates is. I'm keeping my demo and my presentation very short and very simple because I believe to take care of guests and work on other projects. Our hope is that by using the iRates tool, you spend less time doing data entry and doing more mundane hotel, keep the guests in your hotel happy, and attract more guests, referrals, and guest loyalty. So, Carrie and Nav, that's my presentation. I'm open to questions.
Hello.
I'm here.
Hi there. So are we ready for some questions? No? Okay. So David, just a couple things here maybe for the people that are attending. What's the timeline for a hotel to get set up generally and be up and running with iRates?
Well, Carrie, it's a great question, thank you. And from your sending us over the work order, we can have hotels set up in as little as 2 weeks. And sometimes it takes a little longer if we have any kind of complexity with analyzing the historical data. But typically we can do it in 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay, great. What about how much historical data from, we may have some room key users that have been with us for 10 years, or we might have some room key users that are, relatively new, that they're new customers this year. So what's the minimum amount of historical data to start effectively using iRates?
So we typically need 6 to 9 months of information. And then what we do is when we set up iRates, we set it up in a more conservative fashion because we have less information. iRates is a machine learning algorithm, so it learns from itself every day that it is used. And so with 6 to 9 months worth of data, we can build an effective instance of iRates, and then we let it learn from itself quickly over the course of the next 6 months to the point where it is a fully fledged and fully running program with all of the benefits of having 2 years worth of data. There's another scenario there, which I know you're going to ask me about, which is what happens if it's a new customer that we have no history for whatever reason. And we can still build iRates. We can still have iRates work. We use a different algorithm, which is rather than being adaptive, it is reactive to the marketplace. And again, we make the settings fairly conservative, so the rate recommendations are fairly conservative. They will still benefit the hotel. They will still achieve an ROI. And then over the course of 6 months of using that algorithm, iRates has learned enough about the hotel to be able to do its job, and then we switch it to the adaptive algorithm, and everything runs as if we had 2 years' worth of data.
Okay, so just to confirm then, so whether I'm brand new to RoomKey or whether I've been with them for years, really you've got 2 different models and 2 different algorithms to prove an ROI to either type of property or chain of hotels.
Yes.
Okay, great. What about based on where my hotel is located and what my comp set looks like, about how often should I be looking at the data? Are there options to look at the data of my competitors more frequently?
Certainly. So one of the things that we do in setup and training is we have conversations about the market dynamics for the hotel. Is this a seasonal hotel? Is this a resort hotel? Is this in a very compressed market? For example, hotels in Manhattan and downtown Chicago will set rates sometimes as much as 5 times a day. You know, if you're a resort hotel that you have a fairly steady booking stream, you don't need to do that. So we work with you in the setup and the training to make sure that iRates is used properly and effectively. The comp set shops can be changed based on the market dynamics. So typically the basic package, which updates the rates every day, the comp set rates every day for the next 10 days in the future, once a week for the next 90 days and once a month for the next 365 days is typically sufficient. But for example, for a hotel that has a busy season, that's particularly busy for 3 months, we could modify the comp set shop so that the rates were being updated every day for the next 90 days. That's really something that your team in your consultative selling approach will work with the hotel to find out what the best solution is, and we're able to implement and execute whatever the best solution is for that hotel's specific needs.
Okay, excellent. Let me see if we have any other questions. Okay, I think we're good. So for those that attended the webinar today, thank you very much. If you're interested in pursuing this product for your hotel or learning more or doing a demo specific to your property, let us know. You can email your sales rep directly. If you're not sure of your sales rep's email address, sales@roomkeypms.com, or you can call us at the 1-800 number, which is 1-800-234-5695. So thanks again, David. That was a great presentation, and thanks for those who attended today. Have a nice day.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye.